Hey, what's really going on? Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at Dogecoin, DOGE, against USDT. Going to be taking a look at some of the key technical aspects of price action moving forward. Going to be assessing these key levels I believe we're going to be interacting with as price action is coming out of a big rejection off of 74 cents. We seem to be bouncing off of 36 cents, the bottom of my zone there. Will we have enough momentum to interact with the 70-cent levels again, or will we continue downward? Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you're doing with your Doge. What are your thoughts on the kind of price action moving forward in the past kind of, I guess, year here with this ridiculous up and then sideways, up and then sideways? Do you think Dogecoin is likely to continue, or are we approaching a reversal, and will we head back to where we came from, below a cent potentially? So, lots going on. Jumping right into it. Let's see. To kind of recap what's been going on here, as we know, Dogecoin has been ever so bullish for many months now, and so with fundamental support from billionaire Elon Musk, has been tweeting about Dogecoin, giving his thoughts about it, and giving some fundamental support that Doge has never really had in its kind of lifetime until very recently. Some news came out where he gave a bit of a less bullish opinion on Dogecoin, and he gave a more of a real opinion on Dogecoin, and so that had a that caused a bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. In addition to a lot of things occurring when Elon Musk went on SNL that night, a lot happened in the crypto market, and there was a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and I believe there still is at the moment as prices are looking to recover. We're still looking relatively bullish though, as this bounce off of the bottom of my zone here around 36 cents. We wicked down to 35 cents, but ultimately closed above 38 cents kind of thing. And so now that candles are closing, if today's candle can close above 45 cent, my 45 cent kind of support line there, I do believe we can kind of be more short-term bullish, and we can interact with the 70-cent line, 74 cents again, kind of very soon here. And so ultimately, we could see an example of price action kind of rallying, rejecting after, well, in this case, back in the middle of April to like between the 16th of April and pretty much like the 20th of April, we had this kind of like pump, rejection, like pump again, kind of like they bought the dip, came back up, printed a lower high, and then we came down sideways, wicked downward, traded sideways, found support along a key level, and continued. We could very well have a repeat similar to that, perhaps, as this correction is likely to continue, although we are still looking rather bullish. For whatever reason, still, even though there's so much FOMO present and there's so much FUD present, we're still looking bullish for Dogecoin. And so realistically, we could very well see another rejection off of 74 cents and then come back downward. Or we could very well trade sideways toward 45 cents again, kind of from current price action. Although, like I said, we are still looking kind of quite bullish, and this dip was bought up very nicely, and we seem to be recovering pretty well. When we consider EngineeringRobo, along with these Fibba Lamborghini, Fibba Zucchini, Linguini, Martini, Bikini lines, we have got a new perspective kind of come into play here. We have the moon and super buy coming in, beginning and end of this consolidation, big fat and wide consolidation between the kind of beginning of February and like the kind of beginning of April. Stayed in a tight sideways, tons of accumulation. Dogecoin was still very bullish, broke upward. Now we're interacting with these kind of key levels here, and I believe we're going to be bouncing between what appears to be this is 0.5, 0.618, 0.786, and the 1 line there up at top there. So, and so rather. These Fibonacci lines, I do believe, are going to be very key support moving forward, support and resistance moving forward, as prices do seem to be interacting with them quite nicely. We have this bounce off of the 0.5 line there around 37 cents, correlating with the bottom of my zone around 36 cents. And so price action closing above that is very short-term bullish. Even more short-term bullish would be price action closing above that 0.618, above 45 cents, which is above my 44 cent support zone. So price is closing above the 618 line is very short-term bullish. I do suspect us to find some resistance around that 0.786 line around 58 cents. I suspect candles to kind of butt up against it and perhaps get rejected downward from it and continue back toward that 0.618. But if we do get bullish enough, we will easily interact with the kind of 70-cent levels there. And so ultimately, if we print a lower high off of 74 cents, then we can kind of reassess where the trend is going. But so far, we are still looking relatively bullish. I mean, even though there is a sell for present just prior to it, and that's in this kind of previous price action with the fall of the 16th to 20th kind of rejection off of a key zone there, we have that sell for coming into play during that aggressive wick down to 17 cents briefly. Price action closed sideways, found support very quickly, and continued to rally upward to interact with resistance found around 43 cents. Just after the buy 4 kind of shows up again. And so if we were to compare those kind of two price action, we could very well see price action kind of recover quite nicely sideways before kind of continuing upward again. Although the sell 4, if we do see some more sell signals come into play, then we could be more short-term bearish. Although at the moment, due to this kind of pivotal state, momentum could change kind of any moment. Although I am still relatively bullish at the moment based on kind of current price action, and if we can continue to find support above 46 cents. When we consider the price of Dogecoin against Bitcoin, the ever so ridiculous randomness that is Bitcoin, we have even some more kind of bullish price action, and prices are able to hold against Bitcoin, and we've been able to stay sideways even during that near like $10,000, $11,000 dump that it had very quickly. And so we seem to be recovering very nicely. Bitcoin is always going to be still bullish, and so I mean right now the support found above kind of the 784 Satoshi line there is very short-term bullish, and was going to be a key level I believe we could have found support in. Great buying opportunity if you were to buy the bounce from there to the 1085 Satoshi line. You would have made a good 38% in kind of a matter of days. Price is wicking all the way up to 1171 Satoshi, still within this kind of big slapping zone here above 1087 and under 1287. And so price action closing in this zone is going to be ultimately very short-term bullish in my opinion, and we could very well continue upward if we start to consolidate above 1083 Satoshi. Although failure to kind of hold in there and we do get rejected downward, we could easily come back down to this kind of 892. 892 is kind of a level I do see perhaps some short-term kind of local support at. If not, we could very well come back down to that 786 Satoshi line there. And so right now we're interacting with resistance, so changes in momentum could occur very quickly. But ultimately we are still looking quite bullish against the price of Bitcoin. And so when we consider EngineeringRobo along with these Fibba Lamborghini lines, we have kind of video perspective come into play here. We have all the same bullish signs. We have super buy, buy for, cloud buy, price action above the 200 daily moving average. We have still plenty of bullish signs for Dogecoin to sustain value against the price of Bitcoin, and if not gain against Bitcoin. And so I mean realistically, until these sell signals start to print, then at the moment we are still relatively quite bullish. And so I mean price action closing above this 0.786 line at 1016 Satoshi would be very short-term bullish. I mean, say we start closing, wicking down to there, and we start staying up here. That would be ultimately like as bullish as we could be. Although with that sell signal present on the USDT chart, I suspect perhaps prices to get rejected honestly below my 1081 level. Maybe perhaps bounce off the 0.786 briefly, but I ultimately suspect us to kind of trade downward and interact with that 891 Satoshi level, even perhaps the 0.618 around 802 Satoshi, just above my slapping zone above 782. And so there's going to be some key levels I believe we're going to be bouncing here. I don't suspect price action unless we become way more bearish and a reversal starts to approach. Say we get a hard rejection off of that 1288 Satoshi level there, we could start to kind of reassess where price action is going. I mean, even still, Dogecoin does have an example of several months of prolonged tight sideways that it could stay in, reaccumulating before it continues upward. And so very well Dogecoin could very much take a break and just stay sideways and just figure itself out for a period of time before it continues upward. But ultimately, we're still, based on the technicals, we are still looking rather bullish. If we consider the price of Bitcoin itself here against US dollar tether, we can see all the ridiculousness that has been the past few days here. We got the Fibba Lamborghini lines coming into play. You can see sell signals present. I got the super sell 4, because that was a very huge candle close. We opened at 56K, closed at like 49K. That was pretty insane. Following day, we wicked down to 45, came all the way back up to 51, and then ultimately kind of closed around a candle open near 49K. And then the following day, price action printed a higher high up to 51.4 relative to 51.3, so a very technical minor higher high, which does suggest that we could in this kind of next kind of pullback perhaps find support at one of these levels here. If we print a higher low above 48.6, very bullish. A higher low would still be above any price action above ultimately like 46,000 at this point is still quite short-term bullish in my opinion. I will only become more midterm bearish if we start printing in the very low 40s, that kind of thing. So if we print a lower low relative to this dip in the end of February of 2021, then I can kind of be more midterm bearish in my opinion, and perhaps some continued sideways is to be expected. Although right now, a pattern that I've been suggesting for like a little over a week now is starting to look like it's playing out. And so I mean, we have price action coming upward, a break downward, a retest, and continuation downward is not that's not what I believe is likely to happen at the current moment. My perspective is this new pattern unfolding, this break downward, a retest upward at resistance, another break downward. I suspect we will find support here and continue upward and print this W pattern. Although momentum could change at any moment, price action goes with the flow of wherever it wants to go. And so based on kind of the technicals, I do suspect this big zone of kicking, slapping, punching, and shoving above 49K and under 50K is going to be a great buying zone, and we could very well recover very nicely off that zone. Although that wick down to 46K is, probably pretty scary for a lot of new investors, and that could very well lead us to some continued lower price action. So ultimately, if we start closing, I'd say the closer we get to 48K, the more kind of midterm, like short-term bearish we could potentially be. And if we start closing under 48K, then we need to reassess direction moving forward. And ultimately, we could, hope not, interact with this 0.618 line at 41K, 0.786 line at 51K. We have all-time highs around 64,000. The upcoming volatility is going to be very key to look out for. You're gonna want to make sure you're sure before jumping into the market right now, as we are in a very key zone, a very pivotal area here. Lots of buy and sell pressure in the moment, indecision, fear, uncertainty, and doubt as the market recovers from this aggressive, downward rejection off of super resistance around 57K. Thank you for hearing my analysis. Thank you for tuning in. Try EngineeringRobo free with a link in the description. Subscribe here on YouTube. Check out all the other social media down below. Let me know what you're doing with your Doge, with your Bitcoin. Do you trade? Do you hold? Or are you just more of a, or are you more just let the charts unfold?